put these things on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like so legit, dude.
So right here, left side, right?
It doesn't matter.
Or it doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter. Can you hear yourself on there?
Can I hear myself?
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So.
There we go.
So, right?
Perfect. Yep. I can hear you. Let's see. I think that we're all good. Probably need to adjust much from the last time. So.
Dude, this is legit. This is my first time doing something like this, and it's like, wow.
Oh yeah. Let's go ahead
It's
and
really official right now.
get it started in 3, 2, 1. And we're live with David Grimaldo. What's happening, bud?
Man, thanks for having me, man. This is awesome.
Absolutely.
Happy to be here.
100%. So obviously we're going to post this on your socials as well as mine too. So for anyone that doesn't know David Grimaldo, what do you do?
So I'm actually a real estate broker in the state of Illinois. So really service primarily like Chicagoland area as well as like the southwest suburbs. That's kind of like my wheelhouse around there. Grew up around the Orland Park area. Perfect. So know that area like back in my head.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So you're a real estate agent. You've been, been working there for a little bit, right? We go pretty far back, right? About 2-3 years.
Man, I would say 2023. Man, so it was 2020 that we actually, I think we first met. It was in the middle of the pandemic.
And we met through Greg, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know him as Greg. I'm like Malachi. I'm like, man, who's Greg?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. So we met through Greg or Malachi, right?
Yeah.
We've been together. We've been friends for the last 3 years. So it's really awesome to have you on here. Let's go through. I know we had a couple questions we wanted to talk about here for you. So obviously you're a real estate agent, right?
Correct.
So your job is to help prospective home buyers find the home they're looking for. Or if someone's looking to sell a piece of real estate, you're there to help facilitate that transaction, correct? Okay, perfect. So with that being said, what is your favorite and least favorite part about what you do?
Oh man. So I think I would like to start with, because that's like a really open-ended question, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would say I like to really start with the buyer. On the buyer side, I think one of the coolest things is when you meet somebody for the first time. They're like very naive to the whole process. They don't know anything. They don't know, right away they think, I need 20% down. I can't afford that.
Right.
When they don't know that, programs are out there like FHA and stuff like that. It's like, hey, 3.5%, sometimes 3.
Right.
Like you get down, and it's just like the mind blowing. That's like to me, like it's like a mind boggling thing. And then at the end, like through a closing date, the day of closing, how happy they actually are.
Oh, 100%.
And seeing the smile like on their face, seriously, is like one of the most priceless things like in this industry that it just makes it all worth it. And me, I think it's really it's kind of like in my personality where honestly, I love to like really help people. I like to get to know people and like help solve, everyone has a problem.
Right.
In this industry and just in general, like everyone has a problem. I want to help you find that solution, and seeing them, I've seen people break down at the closing table, like literally crying. Like not too long ago, I had a closing where like there was a grandfather to a granddaughter that was present, and he started crying. He's like, I'm just so proud of her, and she's been through so much, and then she started crying, then I started crying.
Oh my God.
So it's like, moments like that,
yeah,
I think are what makes it really cool in this industry. And besides like the travel, it's kind of cool as well.
Right. Well, of course, you travel, you get to see cool places, right? Cool homes and all that stuff too. But I think that deeper than that, like what you're talking about, it's a purpose, right?
Of course.
It's a purpose because you're helping educate people that are coming into, that realm of homeownership, right? And then you're seeing the success and you're sharing the success that they're having with that, right? And it's a really big moment. I remember buying my first place, and I'd been doing this for a while before then. But it was still, I was like, damn, this is kind of a big deal, right?
100%.
And so the same for every single one of our clients, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's awesome that like that's what you're passionate about, and that's what brings you in to all of that, because there's so many people out here that I think are, maybe treating this as a job or just how to make some extra cash on the side, right? And so for anyone that's out there looking to, start purchasing a home or getting into that realm, I think that having that connection with a real estate agent who is passionate about everything else, in addition to obviously, that's their job, right? but actually cares about the client and cares about the experience and cares about, you know, the success that that client has. I think that's really what I would be looking for if I was purchasing a home today.
And honestly, you knocked it right on the head right there.
Yeah.
Like, I think before I even go in and ask them what their real estate needs are, first of all, I want to know is, like, you know, what's your situation? You know, why are you buying? Why are you selling?
Right.
You know, you have to ask these questions. If you don't ask these questions ahead of time, like, you really don't know what's going on. If I don't know what's going on, how can I help you?
Right.
You know, I want to be able to, like, when I go at something, I'm really passionate about it.
Right.
You know, I really care about people. And kind of like I said, like earlier, you know, I know a lot of instances where it's like people are in a tight spot. They don't even think that they can afford a home. They're like, man, but they're spending so much on rent. And, you know, nothing against people that rent. You know, people are out there that are renting.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean, hey, every
Stone 'em.
situation, yeah, right? Every situation is completely different. I mean, you know, but, so some people, you know, they choose to and whatnot, you know, but still a huge step. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you can kind of gain equity in something, actually own something. So that's like a different sense of pride.
Oh, 100%.
You know?
Yeah.
So I love talking to those sort of people, and that's kind of, like I said, that's probably one of the best parts of the gig, is to kind of see the growth, I would say, within the process and stuff.
Yeah, well, and as you go through your career too, right, like you'll look back and you'll see, okay, I helped this person get into this home, right? And that was 5 years ago. Now they've reached back out and they want to sell that place and get a new place, right? And then you're looking, you're like, damn, they just made $50,000 off this place because I helped them get into it, right? And obviously the client would have probably got into that whether you helped them out or not in those cases, right? Obviously, you know, they might have picked a different agent or something like that, and they might have still bought something, but you were like, hey, I had an impact on this, right? And now that client is in a better financial position because of the services that I helped them with, right? And that, I think, is like the peak of just feeling really good about that situation.
And
for sure.
Also, it's like, you know, it's relationship business.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, that's what it is.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
If you don't have like that connection right away, you might not want to work with me. I might not want to work with you.
Right.
You know, it's really a relationship that you're getting into.
Absolutely.
And if, like, you know, you might have different views on certain things and whatnot, but honestly, at the end of the day, if you don't like or trust me, and I don't like or trust you, well, one way it's okay. The other way, you know, it really goes a long way. But if you're really putting everyone's best interest first, I don't think that's a problem at all.
No, not at all, all. So what's your least favorite part?
Oh man, least favorite part. I would say that I didn't know this was a 24/7 business that we'd be signing up for.
Yeah.
You know? I'm just kidding.
No,
But,
exactly.
I mean, I love it that, you know, I do work like basically every day. You know, and there's really, I don't work a normal 9 to 5. You know, I don't clock in at a certain time, punch out at a certain time. But it's just like at any instance, you know, I think I have a couple deals this weekend that I wasn't expecting, you know, people to get like pre-approved. That, okay, we're gonna go house hunting this weekend. Yeah. Sorry, I thought we were gonna have plans with the family this weekend, but you know, we're gonna have to shorten that up a little bit so then we can go move some stuff around. So I would say that's probably like my least favorite. Yeah. But I'm not complaining.
No, for sure, and I feel the same way too, right? Like it's always like not frustrating or annoying, right? It's just that, you know, sometimes you sit down on the couch and you're like, all right, cool, like I'm gonna go watch some TV or whatever it is, right? And the client texts you and they're like, hey, like I need numbers ran or whatever, right? Or hey, I want to go see a house tonight or something like that, right?
Yep.
And you're like, okay, well, like I'll do it, right? And so it's just human nature to be like, oh, like I was just ready to relax and not to go do this, right?
Exactly.
I think a lot of that, you know, frustration comes from, you know, well, not necessarily frustration, right? But like what helps me with some of that stuff is one, like putting into perspective, right? So like I'm like, okay, well, I could have no clients that I'm working with right now and not know where my next paycheck's gonna come from, right? So that always helps me out a little bit. And then also sometimes, like I think having a day, like one day a week, right, as a professional that you are actually like off, right? Obviously you'll probably take a phone call or two, probably send a text message or two, right? But for the majority of it, like you are not working, right? For me, that's Sundays. So Sunday is my day. Now, do I still work on Sunday? Yes. But is it like everything that I do during the week? Absolutely not. So let's say a client wants to put an offer in and it's a Sunday. I will tell them, hey, that's great. Like I can run a simple calculation for them on my phone, send that over there. I'll update their pre-approval letter because I usually have it for more than what it is that they need. That takes me 30 seconds to do. If they want me to call them and go through numbers and all that stuff, I will typically say, hey, can I call you first thing Monday morning? Like, is that okay with you, right? And typically most clients are going to respect your time and not have you like do all that crazy stuff on a Sunday, right?
Exactly.
And the ones that do, you're just like, right? So
and it's kind of goes back to the same thing. Like, hey, does he take nights off?
Yeah.
No,
Exactly.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
So I mean, I bet he would love to be somewhere in Cabo.
Oh yeah.
On a beach, Modelo in his hand.
So we're gonna brand you as David Grimaldo, the Batman realtor.
Oh man, I don't know about that. I'm more a Spider-Man guy.
There you go. That's respectable.
Yeah.
Miles Morales or Peter Parker?
Peter Parker.
Okay, gotcha.
For
Yeah.
sure.
I like the new ones that are coming out with Miles. So I mean, I like Peter Parker as well, just as much as the next guy. But Awesome. So why did you choose real estate? I know that with your background, that might not have been your first choice or your first opportunity that you had, right? So tell us about that.
Man, so it was kind of like a weird journey I've been on. So honestly, straight out of high school, I think that once I got to like junior college, I wanted to play baseball right away. I was a college athlete. Was very diverse in different sports I was doing, but probably my number one like passionate sport, my 1A, 1B was baseball, and then the other one was like amateur boxing. That's why I used to
Really?
do. Yeah. So
Did not know that.
Yeah.
I'll watch what I say around you now.
Oh man, dude, you ask like anyone who has like any sort of fighting background, we're like the last people that like want confrontation.
Oh yeah, no.
But it's just like, dude, like, because once I say that, like, I'm telling you, I'll get some random dude on the street. You think you can take me? I'm like, well, you're 280, 6'3".
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you can just lay on me and I'll be kind of done for, My
Yeah.
best bet is seeing if I'm still a good track star,
Yeah.
So, but no, anyways, back to the topic. Basically, going out of there, I wanted to actually be an engineer. That's
Okay.
actually what I was actually going to school for in junior college, getting all my gen eds out of the way.
Sure.
And I guess as I was starting to, get really deep into it, I was like, well, not too deep. I would just say like the gen eds part, and really starting to take an engineering class here and there. I noticed like, man, I just can't sit in front of a computer. Like, I've always been the guy that like I have to be moving around. I have to
Right.
talking to people, meeting new people. That's what I really liked.
Right.
So, hand in hand, while that's going on, growing up, my family owned a used car dealership in Chicago.
Right.
And so any of my friends that have met me, that like have known me for quite some time, know that just about every day, like I was there, like slaving away.
Right.
I was the head like detailer over there of used cars. Doing like ins and outs, whether it was hot, whether it was cold, rain, snow. It did not matter.
Right.
I was out there, with my dad. That's what I saw. My dad, my mom, and me. It was a family business. It's a family business. So we would be out there. Like I said, rain or shine, didn't matter. Sometimes Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
And I would really see growing up a lot of like hard work, like in like I would say like my blood, honestly, from both sides.
Sure.
And really like I really say I would admire like my dad. My dad, I would see him, he's the same way. He doesn't log any sort of logging sort of like hours or anything like that. He just says, hey, I'll get here at this, I'm trying to get here maybe at like 9 a.m., whatever. I have these things to do. I'm not leaving until it's done.
Right,
If it's 1, 2 in the morning,
Yeah.
he doesn't care, we're just like, hey, we're pulling a late night. So I got accustomed to that.
Right.
And as I got a little bit older into like my teenage years, my dad's kind of like, hey, so this industry kind of like interests you. I'm like, look, there's like great money that can be made into it. I'm like, Dad, but respectfully, this fucking sucks. I'm like, dude. I'm like, man, I'm like, I don't want to be the guy that's like breaking my back, night in, day in, day out, 7 days a week. I'm like, Pops, honestly, I love you and everything, but I see that, you know, I've always been a type to dress nice. I like
Right.
to, you know, I like the finer things in life.
Of course.
Saying that humbly.
Nothing wrong
you know
with
what I'm
that.
saying?
Yeah.
But I would say that, you know, I would look around and I see, like, you know, there's this guy, like our neighbor goes across that lives across the street. You know, I see that he wears a suit and tie every day. He has just as big of a house, or maybe even bigger, nicer, whatever.
Right.
And he makes a good living. He doesn't have those sort of hours.
Right.
But I see the way my dad comes home, you know, all full of like oil and like
Right.
dirt and stuff like that, because he's working all outside, you know, all day doing mechanical work too. I'm like, man, if you had me to choose, like, let's just say like they're making the same amount.
Right.
I'm choosing like my neighbor every
Yeah,
single
of course, right.
every single time.
Right.
You know? So I'm like, so what can I get into that maybe I can put my mind to work,
Mhm.
opposed to putting, you know, like my back and, you know, these to work.
Right.
And so I looked up like kind of like real estate, like how much does a real estate agent make, and you'll
Right.
hear like all sorts of stuff like,
Oh, yeah.
200K, oh that's amazing, 200K a year.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like, wait, they don't get paid a salary?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Commission only?
Exactly.
So, you know, fast forward to, you know, when I actually went to Arizona State,
Right.
they had a real estate program out there.
Really?
Yeah, so most people don't even know that a lot of universities actually like, have these programs available.
Okay.
And so this program that I saw, I was like, you know what? Like I told my parents, I'm like, engineering's not for me, but I'm gonna tell you what I want to do.
Right.
I'm like, this sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I get to meet people.
Mhm.
I'm constantly moving around.
Mhm.
And then I told my dad, and I don't have to look like you when you come home.
Oh,
And he started laughing. He thought it was the funniest thing ever. He really did. He's like, you know what? He's like, you know what, dude? He's like, if you got my blessing.
Oh,
He's like,
yeah.
he's like, go for it. He's like, just make sure whenever you start. And my mom told me the same thing. You know, I'm really close to my family. In case you haven't.
Yeah, no, I
You know,
can easily put that together for
I
sure.
am very close to my family.
Yeah.
So any move that I'm making, anything, honestly, I don't look for their approval, but I always kind of like keep them in the loop. You know,
Yeah,
just,
you
like,
want their
respect them.
support, right? You want them to like you appreciate their input. Whether you
Of
take
course.
the advice or not, you appreciate the input.
Of course.
Understand.
Of course.
Yeah.
So like my mom's like, you know what, go for it. They definitely didn't want me moving across the country. I mean, I only have an older sister, and she went, you know, to school local. You know, she commuted every day, but I was the only one. There's only two of us. I was the only one that moved like across the country and
Yeah.
by myself, knowing nobody.
There
And
you
I'm
go.
like, you know what, like. It's time to grow up. It's time to actually, you know, hit the ground running. And
Yeah.
first day at ASU, like my first class at ASU is the first time I actually stepped foot on campus. I never toured.
Really?
I never toured.
Oh my
it
God,
once.
that's like a leap of faith right there.
Exactly. I just like all eggs in one basket, like went for it.
Right.
And right away, you know, I transferred really as a junior, and those classes that I was taking, they were no joke. The four that they make you take in order to actually graduate is real estate fundamentals. That's what you start off with, because if you don't know what appraisal is, you're not going to take the real estate appraisal class. You know?
Right.
So and then they have real estate appraisal, real estate law, and then real estate investments.
Okay.
So those four gave me a pretty good foundation right off the jump.
Okay.
And as well as I got certified, like I had a certain certification in corporate real estate, just to get to know the different parts of real estate. Because as you know, how many different branches do
Oh,
you
yeah.
have in real estate? It's insane. It's
Oh,
not
yeah.
just one thing.
Yeah,
you
there's
know?
so many different ways you can have success in real estate. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think really that's how I really started like in real estate. Like that's kind of like I was like, man, this really interests me. It seems like it's definitely worth it. It's a lot of work,
Right.
but it's definitely worth it. Like don't get me wrong, it's not HGTV that
Right.
everyone really thinks it is. It's not. You
Yeah.
know? There's a lot of hustle in there.
Oh yeah, exactly. And like the day that we have clients look at 3 houses and decide on all on the 3, like it ain't happening. You know, it's usually like 20 freaking homes they see. It's insane.
You know, like I've been fortunate. I haven't had the 20 homer yet, but
What's the most you've ever shown a client?
the most, I would say it's not that high. I would say it's like 5 or 6.
Wow. Okay, that means you're a great real estate agent.
That you know,
Like
that's
actually,
why
like
you're
honestly,
doing
I'm not even joking. Like, there's so many agents that I know that they're like, oh my God, this is like the 40th home I've shown this client. And I was like, That's horrible. Like, obviously, there's limitations with the inventory that we have and everything now, the amount of homes that are being sold. Like, there's limitations there. But also, like, if you're not setting the expectation with your client that, like, hey, you're gonna, probably see the most 10 homes, right?
Yeah.
And then we're gonna make an offer on one, because if you're a good agent, every single home that you see, if there's something they don't like about it, that's one more item you can use to filter the other homes they're gonna go see, right?
Of course.
So you're constantly narrowing that down. And at a certain point, the client's expectations might be unrealistic. But if it is, then you as the agent have to step up and take control of that conversation, right?
Address it. Definitely address
100%.
it. And I think that, like, kind of to, like, before we move on to the next topic, I think, like, when I started in real estate, it wasn't as an agent.
Right.
I actually started with wholesale.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I think that's, like, the toughest, in my opinion, so
yeah,
far.
wholesaling's a fucking grind, dude.
Oh my god, it's no joke, man.
Yeah.
It's no joke, so I did that for about like a year or so.
Yeah.
With one of my mentors, and actually good family friends. He's part of the EXP as well.
Okay.
He owns his own wholesale company, and so what I was doing every single day, I was cold calling people.
Yeah.
Every single day, I was doing at least probably like 100 calls.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
that's like Jordan Belfort type stuff right there.
Dude,
that's the calls you get to do for wholesaling.
Dude, no kidding. I mean, I was, and so like for anyone out there that's like cold calling or anything, if you're not standing up and doing this stuff, I'm telling you, like, it makes a huge difference.
Oh yeah,
sitting down versus standing up.
Oh, absolutely. Whenever I'm making calls, like, I'm at my standing desk for sure.
Yeah.
Papa's in a chino. No. But no. So wholesaling, for those of you guys who don't know, wholesaling is well, explain that. Why don't you go ahead and give us a little rundown on what that is?
Yeah. So basically, it's like it's what you would consider or what you have heard of, like your off-market deals, right?
Right.
So basically, we're finding somebody, like a seller that is really motivated, or
Right.
they have like some sort of situation where they don't want to list a home, but they want to sell it somehow, some way. So that's where we come in. We call up these people and we're like, hey, we're gonna buy your house cash, okay? But as we're buying their house cash, we're actually looking for another prospective buyer, somebody who wants to take over that property. We never take ownership in it,
Right.
at all.
Right.
We just, only thing we're doing is transferring of title and deed. That's all
Right.
we're doing. It's like basically handing over paperwork. They're basically paying us a fee to give them the rights to the property.
Right.
That's
So-
the way I could dumb it down.
So essentially, like, let's say this pen is the home, right?
Gotcha.
And let's say I'm gonna go. So you find me, and you know that, like, okay, I want to sell this property, even though I'm not listing it publicly, right? And then I'm just gonna tell you, okay, I'll sell it to you for $1, right? And then you go find somebody else that says, I'll pay $1.20 for it, and then you pocket 20 cents, and then you exchange the pen over the next
Of course,
person, right?
That's
So-
what it is.
Yeah, so it's super popular. Like, there's a lot of people that do that, right? It's a freaking grind though, because you have to find people that are, that want to sell their home, that haven't listed it publicly, and then you have to negotiate a price for them, and then you have to go and, like, find somebody who wants to pay more than what you're paying for it, right?
Yeah.
And have them buy the rights off of you to purchase that home. So it's a grind. My hat's off to you, brother.
You want to know the kicker though?
What's that?
Is that, so honestly, I'm actually very happy that I started in
Oh,
here.
absolutely.
Reason being is because out of those 100 calls, maybe 2 of them were ones where somebody was actually like nice and respectful to me.
Oh,
I was getting
yeah.
a lot of FUs. I was getting, don't ever, like, how do you even have the audacity, or like, because we can't offer them straight market value.
Right, because you have to make some money off of
Exactly.
it. Yeah, and the other thing too, for people that are, like, watching this, investors aren't paying market value either. So investors are already going to be cutting the market value of a property by probably about 20%, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then you have to find a way to make money inside of that too. So that's why, like, some people might think it's offensive what you're offering them, and they might
course.
scream at you or whatever. But it's a business. Like, you have to make money. The investor's not going to pay full market value anyways. You have to fight tooth and nail for the little sliver you're getting off of that deal.
Yeah, and I think it's such a huge learning experience. I'm glad I did it. I do like the model and everything, but to say that I would stick in wholesale the whole time, like, man, you have to have some cojones to be in there. Let me tell you.
Yeah, you drinking every night, I'm sure. No, yeah, dude, that's tough, man. And the other thing too, to your point, talking about, like, why you appreciate the time you spent there,
Mhm.
it probably gives you perspective on looking back and saying, like, even though times might be tough in your business at any given point, right? Like, we all have up days and down days, right? on the down days, you're like, oh shit, at least I'm not wholesaling right now.
Right. It was a great transition, man. Because now I'm dealing with people that actually, hey, they're motivated to either buy, sell. If they want to rent, I just knocked out a rental for my buddy this past week. So
Let's rock and roll.
Quick and easy, but yeah, totally different world, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So tell me, what separates you from other? I think we kind of touched on this a little bit too, right? But we'll wrap up. We'll summarize it here. So what separates you from other agents that a prospective home buyer in your market might experience when working with you versus somebody else?
Man, that's a great question. So honestly, there's a couple different things.
Sure.
I would say it's definitely not one thing. First is my style approach. We kind of touched upon it earlier,
right?
Which is I set the expectation for that.
Right. I
tell my my buyers, my sellers, whoever I'm working with, all my clients, the first thing I tell them is, hey, I'm authentic, I'm honest, but I'm really good at what I do.
Oh yeah.
So this is what I'm going to tell you. Okay, I'm a big person on preparation. Preparation goes hand in hand with efficiency. If we're prepared and we're efficient, the process is going to be as easy as I could possibly make it.
Oh yeah.
There's only certain tangibles that we can actually control.
Right.
But there comes a point where it's like, let's just say, we're going to go house hunting. Well, we want to submit an offer, right? Okay. So what if we don't have a pre-approval? You're a lender.
Right.
You tell me how that's going to go.
It can go really bad, really quickly.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things like, okay, so we weren't prepared for that.
Right.
We're not a cash offer or anything on that deal. We need financing. Well, Danny, do you have the pre-approval? Have you talked to a lender yet? Have you talked to a loan officer, a bank, whatever?
Right.
No, I haven't done that. Well, what service am I bringing to you then if we're ready to capitalize on this right now? And let's just say pre-approval, sometimes they're not always like a quick turnaround rate.
Right. It depends. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a case by case.
Right.
So if that's the case, let's just say it takes a month. What if that house isn't there no more?
Right, exactly.
Just lost out on something you love.
Or even something too, like a lot of times pre-approvals, the most they really should take would be like a week, because that you really kind of know what you're doing, unless there's issues that you're trying to fix on the deal, right?
Of course.
But that even if it's 2 or 3 days, you might lose out on a house because you didn't put an offer in over the weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I think that like with you having those things, and like every real estate agent I feel like knows most of that stuff, right?
Exactly.
They know what they should and shouldn't be doing, but a lot of real estate agents don't have the well, you said cojones earlier, so let's use that. The cojones to actually have their clients go through the process the right way. Because so many people are afraid of, hurting somebody's feelings or saying the wrong thing. And it's not that you're out there intentionally saying stuff to do any of that. And you definitely don't come across that way at all with any of the clients that we've worked with. But you definitely have a process, and you expect your clients to work that process because that's why they hired you, right?
Exactly.
It's the same thing as like going to a doctor and you have a torn ACL, and they're like, okay, what would you like me to do here? It's like, no, you're the doctor, you're supposed to tell me what to do, right? And so I think that's as any prospective home buyer or seller needs that in their agent, because they don't know what they're doing. That's why they're hiring you, right?
Of course.
Because you're the one that's supposed to be giving them the guidance, helping them get through that process, and go through all that in a way that's going to bring them the success that they want to have.
Yeah, of course, and honestly, so a famous line that I tell them, each and every one of my clients, I have told every single one of them is this: look, I love you guys to death. We're gonna be friends this whole time, and this is a relationship.
Right.
But, okay, I am gonna tell you what you might not always want to hear,
right,
but instead what you need to hear.
Exactly.
And that's setting the expectation.
Yep.
They know that I'm not gonna basically bullshit them.
Right, 100%.
I'm gonna, of course, there's different ways to deliver news. Not everything that, like I mentioned earlier, we can control.
Right.
But another thing that separates myself is that, dude, I'm a dog. I'm a dog.
Are you a dog?
I'm a dog. When it comes to like, hey, shout out Primetime, man, and what he's doing over there in Colorado, man. Because let me tell you, I'm a dog. I will go to battle, for my clients, honestly.
And I've seen that too.
Yeah. And so, those things, as well as you know about this, but I guess the world doesn't know. But I actually have my mortgage license too. So there's different things where I just have different backgrounds that I can definitely blend in together with what my approach is.
Right.
And that's what I can offer my clients that not, you know, some of these other agents that maybe just take a sensory course and nothing against them.
Right,
you know,
right.
But they can't say that they're more prepared than me.
Right.
That would definitely be something that we would have to discuss here.
Exactly. No, I love that too, because again, we're like, and I'm the same way, right? Like the more prepared that I am, the more confident I am, and that's most people, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, there are, especially in our industry, where it's so easy to get into, right? There is the difference of the gap between like the average performer and the top performer is so wide, right? Most clients might not understand that when they're going through the process, but if you stack the experiences next to each other, it's night and freaking day, right? And so the more prepared that you are, and like, well, and you have the drive that you want to be that prepared on every single transaction, right? And that's what separates you from somebody else, at least in my eyes.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that
that's
want.
so nice.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
I don't want to cut you off.
So, so, and that's where like a lot of people don't have that drive to want to be the best. They might want to, like, they might feel like they want to be the best internally, but they're not taking any action towards being the best or implementing what they know they need to do to be the best, right?
Exactly.
And you do those things, so that's definitely what separates you, in my opinion. So
I appreciate that, man.
awesome. Well, we're both very young in this business, right? Both under 30, you know, and making a name for ourselves, right? Swinging out there as much as we can, you know, attacking the day, right?
For sure.
Where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
10 years from now.
When you're old enough to drive.
Okay.
No.
That's a good one, man. That's a good
No,
one.
I'm kidding.
I would say somewhere on a nude beach. No, I'm just kidding. See, you
Wow.
almost spit that out. You almost spit that out.
You're very
That's
lucky.
That's why I purposely did that. I saw that. I was like, oh, man. No, man. I think, 10 years from now, ideally. So I talked a little bit about like my roots to Arizona.
Right.
So my partner that I'm with right now, she has roots. She was born and raised in Arizona as well.
Okay.
So I think for me, ideally is to be licensed in Arizona as well as keep my license here in Illinois.
Right.
And honestly, building out a team
Sure.
that can service both. So I would love to, service here during like the warm months.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Like, you know what a snowbird is?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so I definitely want to be a snowbird, and being like in the colder months in like Arizona, and really like tapping into that market too. I would love to be like a leader of like my own team, like maybe even my own brokerage, whether it's with EXP, a different brokerage, doesn't matter.
Right.
But I would just love to be, I guess, paving the way and really like, and really helping somebody who just broke into the industry that's young, that's hungry. Those are the people I want to invest my time and effort into. Because that's what, like, in different, I would say in different parts of my life, people have taken that chance on me. So
Right.
I want to give back.
Oh, 100%.
In that sort of way. And really, like I said, that's who I'm looking for, man. I want to be with people who are just a bunch of killers. Just a bunch of killers, people who are motivated that, whether they're in a tough situation or they want to make a name for themselves, whatever it is, I want to be the guy. That's how I attack my day. It's like, I always like, hey, it's manifestation, right?
Yeah.
I always look at myself and the funniest part about this, okay? So I told my therapist this one time, right?
Okay.
And she looked at me and, well, I'll tell you what she said afterwards. So she's like, like, what do you say to yourself? Because, self-talk is such a big thing and everything. And, I was going through like a downtime at that point.
Right.
And I'm like, and she's like, have you ever talked to yourself? Or, we all have self-talk, whether it's in here or you vocalize it. And I was like, well, I used to tell myself, when I would say like I was in a good state of mind at that time. I was like, on a normal day, I go and I tell myself, I'm a bad motherfucker. And I'm like, and I would believe that. That's just like some people have like a certain thing that gets them going.
Oh, yeah.
For me, I don't care if, hey, I'm 5'8" and 3/4. So you got a problem with that? Okay, us Latinos aren't vertically blessed. Okay.
Hey, yeah, I'm not even Latino and I'm not vertically blessed.
Okay, there you go. So, anyways, when it comes down to it, like that gets me going. That's like kind of makes me feel a certain like energy, a certain sort of like attack, you know,
Right.
like, and it's weird because you're not really doing anything. Like, I'm not like attacking anybody.
Well, right, obviously,
right?
yeah.
But it's like, I guess through all the years of being like an athlete,
Yeah.
and kind of like that's how you attack it, is like physical, like whether it's in the weight room or it's just a mentality thing. Well, I kept that with me
Right.
into transitioning into this.
Yeah.
You know, so honestly, like that's something that I really take pride in. And so what she said to me afterwards was probably the most gangster thing I ever met. She looked at me and she's like, "Yeah, you are."
Oh, snap.
And then a couple sessions later, she's like, "All right, you're good. Get out of here."
Yeah, there you go, man. No, I love that, dude. I love that. I was going to make a joke about her maybe hitting you up after the client privileges were over, but not kidding.
Oh, no, dude. I will sell her a house. I will sell her a house without a doubt, man.
I love it, dude. I love it. No, that's awesome, man. Well, and I think, too, like, you know, the mindset that you have to have around yourself, right? People might think that it's like funny or cheesy or whatever when you say to yourself, "I'm a bad motherfucker," right?
Mm-hmm.
But one, like, we shouldn't really care what other people think about stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also, you literally have to believe that about yourself in this business.
Yeah.
That you are the best option for your client. You're the best person that can negotiate for them. You're if they go anywhere else, they're not going to get the same experience. Because if you didn't believe that, then you would never feel confident enough to work with somebody. Because like, oh, there's someone, like, I'm not the best, somebody else is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and aside from just, you know, what other people might do as far as ignorant belief that they're the best, right? You have the belief that you're the best, and you're working towards continuing to improve the experience you're giving to the client. And I see that too, right? Like you getting your loan officer's license. Now you know the other side of things too, how that all works, so you can help educate them on that side too, right?
Of course.
So you're always improving yourself, and realistically, like, you are the best for the clients that you work with.
Mm-hmm.
So I love to see that. Love the idea of in 10 years owning your own team, having your own brokerage, living in both states. That's awesome.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Honestly, just to kind of piggyback off of like what you just said too, like me, I'm not gonna name any names, but I know who my competition is.
Oh yeah.
And it might sound crazy, but I tap into their stuff every single day, saying, "Hey, they have a new listing, cool. What do I have?
Right.
You know, how am I gonna top that? What are they doing that maybe I can also, you know, implement in my business?"
Right.
Now, there might, like, I'd be the first one to tell you, you know, there are, you know, some of those, my other competition, they've been in there for, you know, 20 years, 25 plus years.
Right.
I can't control that.
Right.
What I can control, though, is how I service you.
Mm-hmm.
What I provide, how I'm providing value to you.
Right.
Whether, you know, I'm selling, whatever it may be, investing. I mean, I have to keep you educated and honest with everything that's going on.
Right.
And they might have, you know, 50 clients at one time. You know, I might have 5, but those 5, those are like my rock star clients. Like they are.
Oh yeah.
We are close.
Right.
And we are gonna, you know, they know that they're in good hands, and it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, it's only a matter of time.
Right, and also too, they've been in the business for a lot longer than you potentially, right? If they're
Mm-hmm.
that successful, and so, you know, I always had a struggle with this too, and I still struggle with it sometimes, is comparing myself to somebody who's been in business for a lot longer than me, right?
Every day.
Happens all the time. And then also too, like, obviously there are things that people do that I've picked up on and that I've implemented in my business. I think that's natural. I think you're supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Glean things from other people that are doing better than you to implement and do that, right? At the end of the day, though, also find those things that make you you and focus on those, right? So for example, like Simon Sinek talked about this a while back, where he was in a limousine with, you know, Apple executives. He was talking like, oh yeah, like I got this new Android device or whatever, and like it's super cool, it does all the stuff that the iPod can't do. And they're like, oh, like cool, it sounds great, right? I'm sure it is cool or whatever. And then he went to it, and then the same thing happened vice versa. Is that Android is like, hey, this new iPod's great, and like it beats this thing or whatever. And they're like, oh my god, let me take a look at that, right? And the point that he was trying to make in that little TED talk that he was doing is that winners, because Apple obviously is worth way more than Android is,
Mm-hmm.
winners are focused on what they bring to the table and what the services that they offer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what they are doing to improve the client experience. The people that are still successful, but maybe not as successful, they're always trying to keep up with what everyone else is doing in their client experience, right? They have no identity, right?
Exactly.
So I love the fact that you do have that identity and you are pursuing that. And so the only reason I bring that up is to remind you of that, and also let people know that they're listening to this that might have their own industry, their own business that they're working on, is to really focus on your identity as opposed to chasing whatever the newest thing is, right?
Exactly. Couldn't agree more with that.
Awesome. Do you have anything else you'd like to add before we cut it off here?
I don't know. If you have like a funny question or something like that.
Oh yeah, actually I do. I was thinking about this while you were coming in here.
Oh man, are we gonna have to blur this out?
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
What is your toxic trait?
My toxic trait. Oh man, like in myself or somebody else?
Like in yourself.
Where do I start? Man, that's a hard one. That's a real hard. Tell me yours, and then I'll tell you what mine is. That's how you flip it for people. This is exactly they teach you to negotiate.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, Chris Voss.
I love Chris Voss, by the way.
I do. Like, Never Split the Difference is like one of the top 2 favorite books of mine. I would say that. Oh, for sure, overthinking. That's mine, absolutely. I overthink literally everything, like to the nth degree. It is so bad.
Man, so that's a really good one. So honestly, mine for sure, if I had to say, like, it's definitely like overthinking, but one might be, I kind of mentioned it earlier, is like kind of being overly prepared in a way with certain things. So like, I'm expecting, every single rebuttal, whether it's, in the business or not. I'm expecting, like, if I have a stance on something, I'm like anticipating, like, what is this guy gonna say? I know he's gonna say this. I know he is. And then you hit me with something else. It's like shit in my mind.
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes that could take a toll on you, man. Or another toxic trait. I would say not toxic trait. Well, whatever. Call it what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say sometimes being a little, on a serious note, being a little too hard on yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
I feel
not taking yourself seriously is one thing.
Right.
But kind of you touched on this a little earlier. Like, if you're comparing yourself to every single person out there, like if you're comparing yourself to Mark Cuban, comparing yourself to, like we said, some of these high, like in my industry, it would be like Ryan Serhant. I love Ryan Serhant.
Right.
Like,
yeah. That
dude to me is like, he's legit. He's a little cheesy at times. That's definitely not who I am. I can be, but I'm not like him. Where I think one of the things that he had said is like, I want everyone to take like like a drama class,
like acting classes?
Yeah,
improv.
Improv.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you
yeah.
go. I couldn't get the word out.
Yeah.
But so he wants everyone to take an improv class. Everyone in his brokerage, because he has his own brokerage, and they all have to say, like, just so they can say yes to everything. I've never been a yes man my entire life.
Right.
I don't say yes to every single thing. Sometimes you have to say no. So there's some things where I just don't see on the same wavelength as him, see on the same level, I would say.
Right.
But like I would say, like, if we're comparing like those sort of like two different people and constantly chasing that, or like thinking of yourself that you might think of yourself a little bit less than them at times, but then you have to bring yourself back, man. Like, dude, like, you're just starting, you're young, you're already doing this.
Well, and the other thing too about that, because I've definitely struggled with a lot of the same stuff on that side, right? Is you have to understand that most people are not really being super vulnerable either, especially on social media, especially like industry professionals that are our competition, right?
Exactly.
They're never going to be vulnerable with someone that they think can like take them out, right? And so they're going to be highlighting the best parts of their life, the best parts of their business, outwardly facing, because that's what they want people to think of them as, right? When in reality, a lot of those people have way bigger issues than what you and I have, right? Yeah. And so maybe there's trouble at home or whatever it is, right? So I think that, obviously not comparing your current to their 20 years, right? And then reminding yourself, too, that it's okay to give yourself a break every once in a while. And it's okay to make mistakes. Like, You talk about being super prepared. I love being super prepared with my clients. There are still times when things go sideways in a transaction, and you gotta own it up. You gotta own up for it. You gotta make it right when you can, but also it can't. Like, it's like throwing a pick six to end the game, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't let that decision limit you on what you're going to do the next week that comes through, because you still have other clients that are coming through that you can absolutely take great care of, right? When you do make the one mistake that you make in 10 years, right? Or whatever it is, right? So
turn the page.
Exactly.
Turn the page on to the next thing. Good baseball analogy here is like, you make an error. Okay, guess what? The next play comes to you.
Yeah.
You're gonna make it.
Yeah.
So the game's not over. You still gotta play it.
Exactly.
So
100%.
that's definitely a good one.
Awesome. Well, with that, we'll cut it off here. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and
Thank you so much for having me, though.
Oh,
Yeah, this was so much fun.
absolutely. We're gonna do it again for
Definitely,
sure.
100%. We have to. Awesome.
That was pretty fucking
Dude,
dope.
that was awesome, dude.
That was sweet.
I didn't know